One definition of globalization describes it as the process by which economies, cultures, and societies all over the world become more intertwined and integrated with one another. This process has been accelerated over the course of the last few decades as a result of developments in technology, transportation, and communication. As a consequence, there has been a growth in the flow of products, services, capital, people, and information across international borders. On the other hand, it has also presented difficulties, particularly for local economies, which frequently struggle to adapt to the rapid rate of change and the intense rivalry that exists on a global scale. The introduction of globalization has brought about a significant change in the functioning of neighborhood economies. In the past, local economies were relatively isolated from the rest of the world, and they relied on the resources, industries, and markets that were located in their immediate vicinity. On the other hand, over the course of globalization's progression, local economies were increasingly interwoven into global supply networks and markets. As a result of this integration, local firms, workers, and communities frequently experience a range of outcomes, including both positive and bad outcomes. One of the most significant effects that globalization has had on local economies is the expansion of access to markets around the world. The internet, global shipping networks, and trade agreements have made it possible for businesses located in even the most remote portions of the world to connect with customers located in other countries. Local enterprises are able to grow and scale as a result of this enhanced market access, which results in increased revenues and economies of scale. Additionally, it fosters innovation and competitiveness, which is beneficial for organizations who are attempting to differentiate themselves in a global market. Because of the existence of foreign competition, local businesses are frequently compelled to enhance their levels of efficiency, product quality, and customer service. This frequently results in an increase in the region's overall economic growth and development. While this is happening, globalization presents local economies with a number of obstacles, particularly in terms of competition. Local companies that were earlier shielded from competition by geographical limits are now confronted with fierce rivalry from international enterprises that possess far more resources and operational capabilities. Due to the fact that they have access to cheaper labor and raw materials in other regions of the world, these multinational corporations are frequently able to create goods and services at substantially reduced prices. Because of this, it may be difficult for many local enterprises to compete, which may result in layoffs, business closures, and a general drop in economic activity in particular sectors. This is especially true in industries such as manufacturing, where globalization has resulted in the outsourcing of production to nations that have cheaper labor costs. The shift in labor markets is yet another significant influence that globalization has had on the economics of small communities. In the process of expanding their operations to new countries, firms are looking to take advantage of the lower cost of labor in developing nations, which results in the offshore of employment. As a consequence of this, conventional industries, such as manufacturing and textiles, have experienced a decrease in a number of wealthy countries. In areas where these industries were previously the foundation of the local economy, globalization has resulted in the loss of jobs, an increase in the rate of unemployment, and social upheaval all over the place. The communities that were once major manufacturing hubs in the American Rust Belt, for instance, saw economic downturn and population loss as a result of firms closing their doors or moving their operations elsewhere. On the other hand, globalization also presents local economies with chances to diversify their economic base and develop new manufacturing sectors. Numerous regions have moved their focus towards service-oriented businesses such as information technology, banking, and tourism as a response to the loss of traditional industries. In many cases, these industries reap the benefits of globalization since they are dependent on knowledge, skills, and technology that can be easily moved from one country to another. By way of illustration, the expansion of contact centers and outsourcing services in nations such as India and the Philippines has resulted in the creation of employment possibilities for millions of individuals, contributing to the growth of local economies and the alleviation of poverty. Another significant facet of globalization that has an impact on local economies is the phenomenon known as foreign direct investment, FDI. The establishment of factories, offices, and distribution centers by multinational firms acts as an investment in the economy of local communities. These corporations bring with them finance, technology, and knowledge. It is possible for this investment to generate economic growth, create jobs, and improve the infrastructure of the local area. Nevertheless, the advantages of foreign direct investment, FDI, are not always dispersed in an even manner, and it is possible that certain local communities will not completely benefit from the benefits of FDI. It is possible that multinational corporations may exploit local labor and resources while simultaneously repatriating earnings to their home countries. This will leave local economies dependent on foreign money and susceptible to shocks from the outside world. Additionally, globalization has made it easier for people to travel across international borders, which has resulted in shifts in the demography and labor markets of local communities. Globalization has also had a significant impact on the cultural fabric of local economies, which has been a significant consequence. A blending of cultures and the development of a global consumer culture have both been brought about as a result of the movement of ideas, traditions, and values across international borders. This can be observed in the broad adoption of lifestyles, entertainment, and businesses that appeal to people all over the world. In spite of the fact that this cultural exchange has the potential to enhance local communities and foster mutual understanding across other nations, it also has the potential to result in the loss of local traditions, practices, and identities. It is possible that local cultures will be marginalized or commodified in order to satisfy the demands of global markets, which would ultimately result in a deficit of cultural diversity. Degradation of the environment is yet another significant result of globalization's influence on the economies of local communities. Because of the growth of global supply chains, there has been an increase in the demand for natural resources, which has resulted in an excessive amount of environmental degradation in local areas. One of the most typical outcomes of globalization is the destruction of forests, the introduction of pollutants, and the loss of biodiversity. This is especially true in underdeveloped nations where environmental rules may be inconsistent or not enforced at all. Communities that are dependent on natural resources for their means of subsistence, such as those that engage in farming or fishing, are frequently the ones that are most severely impacted by environmental deterioration. Globalization, on the other hand, opens up chances for the dissemination of ecologically sustainable technology and practices, which is particularly important given the growing awareness of environmental challenges on a global scale. In addition, globalization has had a role in the increased inequality that exists both inside and between local economies. In spite of the fact that globalization has helped millions of people in developing countries escape poverty, it has also contributed to the worsening of economic disparity in large numbers of regions. On the other hand, the benefits of globalization have frequently accrued to highly trained individuals and owners of capital in developed countries, while the earnings of people with lesser levels of expertise have either remained the same or decreased. As a result of this widening gap, social and political unrest has been ignited in many parts of the world. This is because marginalized people are demanding greater economic fairness and protection from the adverse effects of globalization. In conclusion, globalization has had a significant impact on local economies all across the world, and this impact has been varied and substantial. It has brought about chances for expansion, innovation, and diversification. Nevertheless, it has also brought about issues that are associated with competition, labor markets, cultural identity, and environmental sustainability. The effects of globalization on local economies are not uniform, and the consequences rely on a variety of circumstances. These factors include the economic structure of the region, the policies of the government, and the capacity of local businesses and workers to adapt to the shifting global landscape. Policymakers are faced with the issue of striking a balance between the advantages of globalization and the requirement to safeguard and promote local economies. This is necessary in order to guarantee that globalization is beneficial to all members of society. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.